Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Matt Knickerbocker, and welcome to another pre-election edition of Betheltoday. With me tonight are two members of our Board of Ed team who are running for office this year, and I'd like to welcome to my immediate right Penny Kessler, who is running for her very first seat on the Board of Education, and of course everyone in Bethel will recognize Robin Renner, who is now serving, I believe, your 10th year. Is that correct?
10th year, that's correct, yes.
So you're good at it by now, I think.
I hope so, yes, thank you.
Well, ladies, welcome to the show, and I really appreciate you taking some time to talk to the voters tonight and let them know what it is you would like to see on your Board of Ed. But before we get to the meaty stuff, I'd like the voters to get to know you a little bit better. So Penny, let's start with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and your involvement in the town and the schools.
Absolutely. We have been living in Bethel for almost 30 years. My husband has a dental office, and that's been around for 36 years.
And that's Dr. Stanley Kessler.
It is Dr. Stanley Kessler.
Also a famous Bethel citizen.
Absolutely. And all three of my children, my daughter is 31, we have twin sons who are 28. They all went through the Bethel school system. Mm-hmm. And I decided that first of all, people are saying to me, why now? Why now? You don't have any kids in the schools, why now? I said, well, first of all, Matt asked. And you always,
That's true.
You always say yes. And also, there's a story in the Talmud that talks about an old man who sees another old man on the ground planting a carob tree. And this gentleman says to this old man sitting on the ground planting the tree, old man, what are you doing that for? Carob trees take 70 years to get any fruit. You're not going to be around. What are you planting for? And the man who's planting the tree says, my grandfather planted a carob tree for me. I am planting a carob tree for my grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And I decided that was why somebody in the past had created this remarkable school system for my three children, who are quite successful, and they're out in the world, and they're good people. And I thought, fair is fair. Time for me to get involved and to plant that tree for the next generations.
So you're ready to do your part?
I am ready to do my part for the town.
Well, that's great.
Absolutely.
Well, I know your family has been involved a long time. Yes. I have Dr. Kessler toothbrushes from every firecracker 4th of July race that I've ever run. I saved them, because you and your family have always been very supportive of town activities.
Well, Bethel has been very, very good to us, and it's been a spectacular place to live, and we owe the town. We owe the town a lot. Mm-hmm.
I have to say that your daughter and my son also graduated together.
Yes,
and
they did.
They were very good friends in high school, and it is a very nurturing place that fosters those kind of relationships. And I know they both speak very fondly of their time in Bethel schools, too.
They do, and I am impressed. Whenever I've been meeting different teachers from the area, they know exactly who my children are.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, they know all of my kids. I stopped at one house a few weeks ago, and he said, oh, I had your sons in AP Civics, or whatever class was. I thought, oh my goodness. And hopefully they didn't do anything inappropriate. I think we're okay.
Well, I think it's safe to say we have great teachers in our school system, and terrific leadership too.
They are spectacular. One of the things that I think sets Bethel schools apart is that the teachers know these kids. Mm-hmm. They know them intimately. They all of my children, at least, and I know other parents have said the same thing, the teachers have really focused on our kids' strengths, and they've been there to cheer them on when they've had moments of weakness and areas where they needed some help. And I think that's unique to Bethel. I really
think so
do.
Too.
I think and they have done a really good job.
Right.
Really, really good.
I still hear from teachers who I will see whenever I visit the schools, and they'll say, how's your daughter, who's now 35? I can't believe that, but she's a writer, and she teaches at the college level, and I'll say, I remember the paper she wrote when she was a senior in 1998, and that just blows my mind. I don't remember anything from 1998. So that's pretty amazing. Well, speaking about leadership, Robin, talk a little bit about yourself. You have been really a cornerstone on this board for a decade, and that's an unusual thing in any board of education, but it is a huge advantage because you really get to know the system and the issues in education. So let me ask you, why do you want to keep doing this?
That's a good question.
You've been a great board member, by the way.
Thank you. I've worked very hard on the board. It's been 10 years,
Yes,
and you and I were talking the other day, and I remember saying to you after that first board meeting, when I was sitting up in front of the people, that I wanted to be back in the audience because it was kind of a shock to me, but I got used to it over time, and it just becomes, easier every time you have a meeting, as long as you are prepared and you read your material and you're ready for the meeting. But it's been 10 years of, I've been involved in the school since my children started. I also have two children. One is now in college, a sophomore, and I have a senior in the high school. When they started coming to Bethel schools, I started getting involved in PTO. So I was in the schools a lot. I started at Berry School, and I'm still a member of PTO in the high school right now. I'm the secretary on the high school PTO and president of Central PTO. But when I started getting involved, I knew I really wanted to know more about what really drives a school district, what makes the school district run. And so I ran for the Board of Ed, and I was elected, and I've been on it ever since. And I've given a lot, but I've learned a lot, and I believe myself and the other members of the board and people have come and gone over the years have really tried very hard to make sure that we're a productive board. We don't let politics get in the way. We come together to work as a team and to really make this district grow and be a better district. It's great, but there's always room for improvement. So we're always trying to do that. So I thought, it's been 10 years, but in that process, I myself became a teacher. Yeah. And so now I am teaching in New Milford. I teach at a middle school. And so, all that together, it's what I do. It's what I do every day. It's what I'm involved in. It's what I know. And I think my experiences in the classroom help my understanding of decisions and things we need to do when we come together as a board. And so that's why I'm running again.
Now, you were not a teacher when you first ran for the board. Was it your board involvement that triggered?
Part of it. What happened is I got laid off from my job, and I thought, what do I want to do? I couldn't really find anything I really wanted to do, but I was so involved in the schools, I thought, that's really where I wanted to be.
You found a passion.
Yeah, and I had done corporate training, so I knew I could be in a classroom and handle a group and teach. I mean, it's different teaching middle schoolers, but I knew I could do it. So I went back to school, I got my certification. I've since got my master's in special education, which is another big interest of mine. And all that and that whole thing together, it all just came together. And I started out in Bridgeport. I now teach in New Milford, and I think it was a natural progression for me from being in my old position to being on the Board of Ed, learning more about the processes, to going into teaching. And so it's worked out. It's been great.
So you're teaching in the New Milford school system, I believe,
teach in New Milford at Scattercook Middle School. I teach middle school science, 7th and 8th grade, which I love. Some people say to me, how do you teach middle schoolers? It's a tough age.
Well, yeah.
But they're great because they're on that edge of adulthood, but they're still kids, and you can have a lot of fun with them, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I've heard many teachers, many friends of mine who've told me that they either love they're made for middle school, or they're made for high school, or they're made for elementary school.
Exactly.
But you have to find your passion and where you really click.
And I love them.
So I'll throw this question out to both of you, and please feel free to chime in. What are the big issues facing education? It's a dynamic field. It changes all the time. Robin, you made a point that you've seen a lot of changes over 10 years. What's the future hold? What is it both of you need to tackle?
Well, I think the biggest one, and it's being tackled now, has been the Common Core. That's been a huge change in education, the Common Core standards, how that's changing how we educate our children. It's not curriculum, it's standards, it's skill set, it's how can we teach, how can we take our curriculum and make our students more, can they read for information? Can they do higher order thinking? Things like that. So these standards are helping us take our teaching one step further to make sure our students really know what they're learning, really understand what they're learning. That's been a huge change. Technology's been another huge change. 10 years ago, we didn't have Chromebooks, and we didn't have Facebook, and we didn't have all these things, and all these new applications that have come out for teachers for teaching and learning. It's huge. Every day I learn about something new. So that's a huge new direction for teachers to take, and how to take that technology and use it in the classroom correctly. You can't use everything, but what can you use? What will help you with your teaching and their learning? So that's been a huge change. You know, there's a lot of new things coming down from new policies, new laws from the state, new mandates. That's been a huge situation because a lot of those things involve funding from the district. When you're not getting funding from the state, how do you incorporate those mandates into your district?
The march of mandates still goes on, even despite everybody's protests.
So that's something we tackle all the time.
Now, Penny, with you, were there any hot button issues that really, aside from the fact that I twisted your arm to get you to run, but aside from that, were there any hot button issues that really interested you with education?
You know, there really were. I think one of the things is with our interest in the whole STEM learning and the focus on science and technology and really getting our kids prepared to work in this global economy and supporting the business community. And for me, at the same time, balancing the focus on STEM learning with the humanities. Because not every kid is, while they all seem to be geniuses on the computer, not every child is going to want to be involved in a science-based or a math-based or a technology-based career. And one of the things that the Bethel Schools has really done well over the years is promote programs for kids that are interested in the humanities. They're interested in music, the focus on music throughout all of the school levels, the focus on the arts throughout all of the school levels, and maintaining that balance so that they are getting these exposed to all of these science and technology programs, but they're not losing the things, the foundation of what the education is. One of the things that I hear most about Common Core is concerns from parents that if teachers have to be so focused on the standards, on the tests, on the grades, on bringing these kids into a universal level of understanding and knowledge, making sure the teachers feel supported in also knowing the kids on an individual basis at the same time. And I hear that from a lot of parents, and I assure them that that is truly, that's one of the focuses of why we're here to support the school system. And make sure that Common Core, which is probably here to stay for a while, these mandates are until it's not, but make sure that our teachers feel that support so that they know that it's for the benefit of the kids. That's why they are here.
Now, we hear a lot about STEM education, and what is, that's an acronym, but what does that stand for again?
Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. There's also another acronym, STEAM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts and Math, which is great. Because, you know, arts really is part of technology. You do a lot of design with computers, and now they have 3D printers and all these things. So that's, you kind of hear the two together now and then. So, you know, it's a huge drive, it's a huge shift. You know, we need to, like, Penny was very right about what she said. I believe the STEM is important, but the other end of the spectrum is important too. The music and the arts, of which we have great programs in this district.
We're still nationally recognized for our music program for fourth year in a row, I think.
It's amazing. And so we want to be able to offer all these things to kids. We're now starting things called Pathways at the high school, which are some new programs where they're doing one for child development, which is where the student can come into the high school, take their courses that they need to take, and also they can join this group, this pathway group, to take courses in child development. So they can see if they want to get into that when they graduate. They can graduate with a certificate to go work in a preschool, or you can continue on and go to college and become a teacher. We're going to be offering more pathways. The next one, I believe, will be global studies. So students can take courses in that. And they want to offer more of these as the years go on. And these are done in the high school with our current teaching staff. So we don't need to hire new staff. Our teachers teach these courses, but we're making it a pathway group. It's kind of a group where kids can kind of focus on one area where they may want to go, as well as take their other high school courses. So it's almost like a little academy. It's great.
Okay, so it's almost like a career preparation thing where they get some exposure to these things.
And we have great internship programs. Susan Anderson runs the internship program. They can go on and work for your husband, or they could work for
Absolutely,
all
yes.
kinds of business. Do they have interns come in?
He has.
That's
He has,
awesome.
and it's really wonderful. And I know that the businesses on Elizabeth Street also have interns
That's
that have
awesome.
gone in.
And our kids can go in
Yes.
and get experience. They may think they want to be a dentist or an engineer, and then they go, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to
Exactly.
do something else.
Right.
So we offer those through the high school too, which is great.
So that new acronym is STEAM.
STEAM,
I
S-T-E-A-M.
did not know. I learned something new tonight,
Yep.
and I like that because
It's very
Yes.
good.
I've heard many parents say to me, and of course, the first selectman's office has little to do with the Board of Ed. It's separate, but they've said we really want to keep the arts programs
Yes,
alive
yes.
and not let STEM or Common Core push them out. Those
No,
things are important.
they
but,
are.
But everything it contributes to a comprehensive education, and it
Yeah.
really
They're starting a
rounds out
shop class, and we have our RTC program, which is, phenomenal. So all these things together, offer our kids so many opportunities. I mean, it's almost like a little college sometimes. When I look at our high school program of studies, when I went to high school, you took what we had to take.
Right.
Now they have so many opportunities to really learn about different things and know where they may want to go after high school, a job or college.
Well, Bethel was one of the first, it might have been the first high school that partnered with a major university.
With WestCon, correct, yes.
And that program is, I believe, has been expanded, and
Yes.
it now includes
Constantly changing, getting credit. You can get, there's talk of maybe sometimes in the future getting your associate's degree when you leave high school in partnership with WestCon. You can gain credit to go to college there. It's just amazing the opportunities our kids have. It's really amazing. And I credit, the Board of Ed and our fabulous, we've had great superintendents, Dr. Chesley, Dr. Smith, now Dr. Carver, who's been here a year. She's doing phenomenal work. And Dr. Brooks, who took over for Dr. Jordan, they're doing phenomenal work and really trying to move our district forward. It's important.
Well, I believe it's still true that when there are job fairs for young graduates in the field of education, I've been told by many people that the Bethel table has the longest line.
Isn't that all?
Wow, Bethel is the district that the young graduates want to
come
even
to.
the teachers with experience, if they can come to Bethel, they try to do that.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the mandates. You mentioned that, and we have local officials have complained for decades about the constant flow of mandates that come down from the state authorities that cost us money in our local budget. But you mentioned before we started taping that there's new ones this year that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, there's new ones coming down from Hartford or the state. A lot has to do with, unfortunately the sad situation of Sandy Hook has changed the way we do our security and the way we do things now in the schools. And there's been a lot of changes with that, with a lot of things with safety issues for example, with football, with the concussions and things like that. Other things coming down with how teachers need to be trained for restraint training or other issues, things that teachers might need to be trained for, which would cost us money to train them. And where's all these monies going to come from to make all these changes we need to make? So, and these are things that we grapple with on the board all the time. And, you need to talk to your congressman and talk to your senators and say, this is a concern of ours because how are we going to pay for these things that you're making us do? And so that's a discussion we have a lot on the Board of Ed about these unfunded mandates. More and more keep coming. How does a district support them when you have to? So it's something we will talk for years about, I'm sure, on the Board of Ed.
Well, we're still stuck with a funding mechanism that comes from the 19th century, and we're trying to pay for schools in the 21st century.
I'm not trying to make it sound like they're bad things. These are probably
they're
good
worthwhile,
things, but
yes.
they are worthwhile. But again, where is that money going to come from?
Right.
And people get concerned about that. So
Let's talk a little bit about board operations. Now, Penny, if I wish you the best of luck. I think you would make a terrific board member. You have the right kind. Your heart is in the right place. You're smart. It's your first meeting when you meet your colleagues and you meet the. What do you expect from that? How will you conduct your first interaction with the board as an elected official?
Oh, I will just go in there like a bull in a china shop and just say, okay, here's what we're going to do, and this is what I think. Obviously not.
No.
I fully expect to sit and learn and listen a lot. It's not easy for me to keep my mouth shut. Most everybody knows. But I want to learn from people like Robin, who have been there with some experience, the seasoned board members. there is, from what I've heard, and I've heard this from many people, including Robin, that the camaraderie on the Board of Education is really wonderful. And I think that learning how people operate, every system has a different protocol. Every organization has a different feel, a different, here's what we do and here's how we talk to each other. So I think a lot of my first few meetings are going to be learning the language, learning how to control my eyes when they're talking budgets so that my eyes don't glaze over too much.
So I'm going to guess that you would not volunteer right away for the finance subcommittee. Is that correct?
I will probably not volunteer at any time for the finance subcommittee. But that said, those are all things that I would need to learn about.
Right.
I want to go in there as informed as possible, learning about the mandates, learning about what's going on, spending time with Dr. Carver, and so that I can go in there at least with a sense of, what are you talking about? I want to know that ahead of time. But there are languages to be learned, there are protocols to be learned, there are politics to be learned. I fully expect that a good portion of my first years is going to be spent learning how things are done.
I think that's pretty typical.
Yeah.
Now, speaking about the subcommittees, I think they've been revamped a little bit, but
We've reduced the number of them that we have, yes. We have policy, we have curriculum, we have finance, and we have like building, I forget what we call it, building.
Well, building maintenance, building and grounds.
Yeah, so it's really reduced down to 4.
Right.
And then, so we changed the way we do our meetings too. We used to meet twice a month and then have subcommittee on top of that.
There were times we had 5 and 6 meetings a month.
Yes. So now
Fortunately, those days are not
yes. So that Larry Krabus has done a great job with adjusting our schedule because people are busy. And we want to be there and do our jobs that we're elected to do, but we also have other things that we need to do. So now we meet one Thursday a month, and then we meet subcommittees other nights during the month. During budget season, though, we do have extra meetings because we do workshops where
everybody's involved in that, but don't worry, you get lots of guidance from Mrs. Jansky.
Yes, and we spend time going over the budget. We're given the budget, and we look at it, and we discuss it, and those are very productive meetings.
Well, the great thing about that system, especially with the 9-member board, is that everybody's expected to serve on at least 2 subcommittees, correct?
Yes.
So you can gravitate to the ones that really interest you, because I was never on the budget or the finance subcommittee either. But out of that list that Robin said, was there something that interested you that you'd want to gravitate to?
Oh, definitely curriculum.
Yeah.
Curriculum, yes.
Definitely.
Yep.
See, I was a policy wonk, which would probably come as no surprise to anybody in here. But that was the one that lit me up, because I wanted to read the law, read the policies, see how they were implemented, board members don't write anything, but the staff writes the regs, but I always like to review that. So that was one of the things that I really liked the most. How important are the arts? We talked about that very briefly, but I think there's some research. Are you familiar with that?
There has been a lot of research recently in the past 6 months that students who engage in the arts, whatever form it might take, it could be technology, it could be doing graphic art on your Mac or on your computer.
So the connection to musical arts has been known for some time, but now this is expanding to visual arts as well.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That these students wind up in fields that are comprehensive. So exposure to music programs, to language programs, drama programs, it's not just music. It's spoken art, it's visual art, it's music art. These students wind up being able to integrate their knowledge as they move ahead in their careers. And they're happier because they're in the arts. But one thing that I find when I speak to my bar and bat mitzvah students, and I try to get to know each of them individually, if they're from Bethel, my first question is, so which form of the humanities, and we go into what that is, where are you involved? And they are in something. They're all involved in something.
And there is a direct link to math, with math, music. Students who are involved in music early on, in like 3rd grade, 2nd grade, or any grade, there's a direct link to their to their math, to their ability to learn math. They've had a link with learning music and helping them with math, and so that's very important. So not only are they learning music and learning that art, but it's helping them in their other courses as well.
And we're finding the same thing with foreign languages.
Yes, yes.
Because music is a picture, it's a pictorial language, kids that are good in music tend to be good in math,
Yes, yep.
and they also tend to be good in foreign language studies.
And as Penny said, not every student wants to be an engineer or
Right.
wants to be or go into math. They want to do, they need exposure to these things.
And it
It's so-
expands the possibilities
yes.
even with
Yep.
the STEAM.
Exactly. It's so critical to their
Programs.
education.
Yes.
It really is.
I'm always impressed by the number of famous, very, very talented, smart people who I found out later had tremendous involvement in music. Alan Greenspan, for example, who became chair of the Federal Reserve for many, many years, very instrumental in national governance. I found out that before he went to graduate school to get a graduate degree, advanced degree in economics, he had to decide if he was going to play the clarinet in a jazz band
Wow.
Oh, my
or go
gosh.
to, and he said,
Wow.
I think I'll go do economics. But
Wow.
Wow.
virtually every very accomplished person has that divergence where you've got multiple areas of creativity.
Yeah, it's critical.
And that's so it's good to know that you are both
Oh, yes.
solidly committed to
Absolutely.
maintaining the arts.
Absolutely.
And it's also good to know that visual arts is just as important as the others. Because,
Oh, yes.
It
because
is.
We
It is.
have a very talented young man just this year who's at the Tisch School at NYU.
That's where my daughter is for music, and
That's
he's
right.
there, he's there
Yours
for
as
film.
well. Yes,
Wow,
for
that's
film.
terrific.
Yep, it's amazing.
Well, listen, we're just about out of
Wow.
time. I want to
fast.
thank you both for joining me on the show. I know they go fast
They
when you have
do.
a lot to talk about. Robin Renner, running for her
It's my fourth term.
fourth term on
Right.
the Bethel Board of Education. She's done a great job.
Thank you.
Penny Kessler, running for her first term. I wish you both the best of luck. You both
you.
have a lot of talent
Thank you.
and a lot
And
of
the same to you
passion
as
to
well.
And
offer.
the same
Well,
to
thank you
you.
very much. And I want to thank our viewers for joining us. My name is Matt Knickerbocker. I'm sitting in tonight for Janice Stevenson. You've been watching Bethel Today. We're sponsored by the Bethel Democratic Town Committee, and I hope you'll tune us in again real soon. Have a great evening.